Hello everyone, how's it going? And welcome to my Wild Rift patch notes rundown for 4.4b. I'm back from my trip in Korea. I've been feeling a little bit under the weather, honestly, throughout most of the trip, and since I've been coming back, that's why I haven't streamed yet. I've been back for a few days, but I've just been chilling out, relaxing. But I did get sent the patch notes for the most recent patch, which will be coming out tomorrow. So I might give a little bit of a stream a try tomorrow, but I've been feeling a little bit under the weather. My ears still haven't popped yet. My right ear is okay. My left ear is not so okay. It hasn't popped yet from the airplane ride back home, but I'm feeling better now, better than what I was yesterday. So I thought I'd give this a try and just slowly get back into making videos and obviously streaming, because I did want to take a little bit of time off because I was on a trip in Korea. I went over there to watch Worlds with Coca-Cola, which was absolutely insane. There was a whole Wild Rift stand there. There were so many like fans and players of the games. It was truly an amazing experience, honestly. And being back at home now is a little bit sad because I had such a great time. But yeah, back on the grind we go, and back on the patch notes we go. And we have a really big patch. So this is probably one of the biggest B patches or mini patches that we've had in recent time. Obviously, we have the release champion of Severe. I know a lot of you are excited to get content ready for Severe. Unfortunately, the beta server that I'm a part of, the English version, is not really up and running at the moment. They've run into a few problems. That's why I haven't been able to make content on Severe yet. But hopefully when she gets released on November 24th, I'll be able to make some content on Severe. But she's a late game scaling AD carry that is going to be really insane. I've seen some gameplay on her. I think she's going to be absolutely incredible. You can probably tell by my voice as well that I'm still a little bit ill. Right, champion changes. We'll try and get through this as quick as possible so I don't lose my entire voice again, like I've been doing for the past couple of days. Riven, some nice changes happening to Riven. Her passive, the percentage damage that you get. So you get a percentage plus 2% per champion level as attack damage. Now you get 30% instead of 20%. So not only does this help Riven in the lane, this also helps Riven jungle as well. So it helps Riven Baron lane, and it also helps Riven in the jungle. So you'll be doing more damage with Riven in the jungle, and also you're doing more damage with Riven during the lane. And also the cooldown of her second ability is going down by 1.5 seconds at the level 1, and then going down to the same cooldown at level 4. So you have a little bit more playmaking potential to try and dash in, use your key burst to try and stun enemy champions, or try and use this to try and get off your passive or anything like that. Again, it will help her clear through the jungle, and it will also help her in the lane as well. Renekton being buffed again. I think this is probably the 3rd or 4th time in a row that I've seen Renekton being buffed. Time and time again. I guess they're still not happy with the spot that Renekton is in at the moment. This time they're buffing his ultimate. I think they buffed his passive, first ability, second ability, and third ability. Now it's time for the ultimate. The health gain is going up at every single rank. The cooldown is actually getting lowered at level 2 and level 3. So you have 10-second less cooldown at level 3, which is pretty big for late game Renekton. So you can use your ultimate more often to be a bit more tankier and to do more damage. And speaking of that damage, that base damage from your ultimate is getting buffed. This damage is the AoE damage that you have around the ultimate. The base damage is going up by quite a bit. It has plus ability power per second ratio, but this is not being changed. It doesn't really mean too much. The big thing is that the early levels of the ultimate, the passive damage that you get on your ultimate when you're nearby enemy champions, that is going up. So some pretty big buffs to Renekton in terms of his ultimate. This will make him maybe a little bit more playable. We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, cooldown going down by 10 seconds, and also the damage going up in early games. So you can actually try and use this ultimate to try and engage, whereas at the moment it's kind of difficult to use your ultimate and engage with Renekton because you are quite squishy, especially with the build that you go for as well. So when you're using ultimate and when you're trying to dash into fights, you kind of get bursted very quickly. So you have to be very careful. But now they're making him a little bit more tankier and also allowing him to deal that little bit more damage. Irelia, the passive, the bonus damage and maximum stacks is going up. The base damage is going up, and also the attack bonus attack damage percentage is also going up. Remember that this does say at maximum stacks, so you do have to make sure that you stack your passive to maximum stacks before you get the full benefit of this buff, which is around 30 to 100. It's now gone up to 30 to 120, and it's also 30% of your bonus attack damage. And then the cooldown, the third ability, which is probably one of her biggest playmaking abilities, to try and dash in, try and make plays, and try and stun enemy champions. And it's also going down by 1 second at every single rank. So I think this is more for players that actually know how to play Irelia and that have learned Irelia to a pretty big maximum potential, because you're only really getting this buff here with maximum stacks, and this is only really useful if you know how to use her third ability. I don't think this is going to change too much with Irelia in terms of lower ranks. I think when it comes to higher ranks, I think this is going to change a lot, because you're going to do more damage with maximum stacks, and also your third ability, you're going to be able to use this more often to try and make more playmaking potentials, which is kind of nice for higher levels of play. Darius, again, more big changes. I mean, there's so many champions getting big changes in this patch, which is quite nice to see. It's hopefully going to shift up the meta ever so slightly. Passive on Darius, which is the bleed, so the damage per stack. Before it used to be 13 plus 1.5 times based on your level, so this just means what level you are, the more damage you're going to get. So it used to be 1.5 of your base level, now it's 2 times your base level, so you're going to be getting a little bit more damage per stack every single time that you level up now. So the more you level up, the more damage you're actually going to be getting passively. And also it now scales of 40% bonus attack damage instead of 30% attack damage. So again, kind of similar to Irelia, they're buffing the base and also the bonus attack damage. So these bruisers are like to build a lot of bruiser items, you know, like Divine Sunderer, Black Cleaver, Sterix Gauge, going to benefit a lot from these changes. And yeah, I think that Darius has been in a pretty difficult spot for quite some time, because it's quite difficult to walk up and try and, you know, land his hook or his grab, whatever you want to call it, and then try and deal damage afterwards to try and use his ultimate. It's hard for him to stick on champions because there's so many dashes, but maybe with the little bit of extra damage now that you get with your passive, maybe especially during the laning phase, you can try and go for some plays. And also the healing as well with the first ability is also getting increased. So it's, instead of being 12% of your lost health, it's now 15% lost health. So it's maximum of 45% now. So the healing is going to be increased ever so slightly, based obviously on your lost health. Nunu buffs as well. Again, like even more insane changes. The first ability, Consume, going down by 1 second every single rank, so you can use this more often. The healing as well is going up by a lot. You can see this. The base value is going up by 20 every single rank. Every single rank is going up by 20 healing, which is pretty insane. I mean, the ability power ratio and also the bonus health ratio have both pretty much stayed the same. The big thing is the base healing is going up, so it doesn't matter how much AP or bonus health you build, the base healing itself will go up, which is pretty big. And also the ultimate, the minimum damage is going up, as you can tell, by quite a bit. I think it's like 50 or something like that. Again, an insane amount of damage there. And then the maximum damage also going up by 200. So if you can get up to the maximum damage for absolute zero, your Nunu is going to be dealing a lot of damage. Again, the big thing is that this doesn't affect AP Nunu as much. I mean, the ability power ratios are still very high percentages, so it probably will help him a bit. This is more really for like the tank Nunus, because this is all base damages, you know, base healing, base damage, and the base damage is not affected by how much ability power you build. So it's going to help tank Nunu a lot more than AP Nunu. But I think this is, you know, these are pretty scary buffs for Nunu. If you get caught in at absolute zero for the max amount of damage, you'll maybe potentially take like 1,575 damage. That's pretty insane. I'll be totally honest. That is pretty insane. But obviously, it's very difficult to get up to the maximum rank. Normally, you get like halfway between the two, but still, it'll be kind of nice to see 1,575 damage being dealt to the enemy team. Maybe not myself. Please don't one-shot me with Nunu ulti. Galio, a little bit squishy, so they're giving him some base health and also some base armor. I think this will help Galio's support more than anything. And also, Galio's support is already meta in competitive in pretty much every single game. This will make him even more competitive because you have more health, so you can trade more during laning phase, more base armor, which means you're going to take less damage, so he's going to be even tankier overall. I think they're probably helping him out in terms of mid lane Galio, but this is going to help support Galio more than anything, more than mid lane Galio actually. which is kind of surprising. Pantheon Grand Skyfall, again, the cooldown is getting lowered. I think this has happened multiple times where the cooldown has been lowered. I actually think Pantheon is already in a pretty decent spot. I think slowly but surely, people are actually starting to pick up Pantheon and deal quite a lot of damage and actually do quite a lot with Pantheon. He is kind of easy to counter, whereas like if you predict where he's going to dash or where he's going to ultimate, you can easily flash or dash away or use Quicksilver to get out of his stun, his second ability stun. But he still does a lot of burst damage. He still does a lot of damage if you do get caught. So the cooldown getting lowered is also going to mean that he can use his ultimate more often. Swain buff after his nerf. So max health gained, you normally get 12 health per stack of the soul fragment. Now it's 16 health per stack of the soul fragment. And also the ultimate, the healing is staying the same, or the base healing is staying the same, but the percentage ability power per second is going up. Same with this as well. Okay, so the damage is actually getting lowered. So the base damage itself is getting lowered. The base healing is staying the same, but both of them are getting increased by the ability power per second. So kind of making people build more towards more AP centric Swain, whereas like Swain at the moment is kind of built as like an off tank, where you go like Rod of Ages, Twin Guard, Warmogs. You just go for like tanky items after building one AP item. But with this change, they're trying to make more people go towards, you know, glass cannon Swain, because you get more health now with your passive, which is okay, which is actually pretty good, because it means you don't need to build that much health from items. And then also the ability power percentage on both the damage and the heal of the ultimate are both going up, and you can see the base value of the damage is going down. So they're trying to make it so people go more away from tank Swain and more towards damage Swain. This is a pretty big buff, pretty big buff down in the dual lane. Ezreal is getting 3 huge changes. Like, these are insane changes for Ezreal, insane buffs for Ezreal. The base attack damage going up by 4 is, it might not seem like a lot, but it actually is a lot, because you're going to be doing more damage with your first ability and also your auto attacks, which is going to help Ezreal out a lot. The passive, the bonus attack speed that you get, it was 10%, now it's 13%, a maximum of 4 stacks, so more attack speed with Ezreal when you're proccing the passive. And also Mystic Shot is going down by about 1 second early on, and then going down by 0.5 seconds, 0.25 seconds, and the same at maximum rank. But still, that early game now, you got 4 extra attack damage, and also your first ability is on a 1 second less cooldown, so you can you know, trade a lot more efficiently now with Ezreal. And there's some changes later on to Kraken Slayer, which is going to mean that Ezreal during the laning phase is going to be extremely powerful. I feel like Ezreal before was fairly weak because it was quite difficult to land his first ability and also to walk up to trace the enemy trade with enemy champions. But now you got base attack damage buff, attack speed buff, and also Mystic Shot getting lowered by 1 second early game. These are some really big changes to Ezreal, and I think he's gonna be I mean, I think he was already pretty decent. I mean, he wasn't as strong as like the AD carries that are building Bloodthirster at the moment, but he was still in a decent spot where you can, you know, sit back, farm up. Now you actually don't really need to sit back. You can actually try and maybe dash in and try and deal more damage than ever before. Karma buffs again, cooldown with the first ability going down by 1 second every single rank, and a pretty big buff to Mantra, the ultimate. Both the base damage and the ability power ratio is going up by quite a bit. You know, the base damage is going up by 20 early on, with 40 in the late game. Look at this ability power buff, 20% ability power with Karma. If you're going like Karma support and you're building like full AP Karma, this champion's going to start to do a lot of damage. I think the build already is pretty decent with like Luden's Imperial Mandate. If you get them 2 items and you can land your ultimate efficiently, plus you have a 1 second less cooldown on your inner flame, which is obviously going to scale with ability haste, I think Karma's going to start to deal a lot of damage now, and she's going to be extremely scary, especially as a support. Hecarim being nerfed again. I think that Hecarim is still in a pretty decent spot. I've seen Hecarim still do a lot around the map. Both Hecarim and Fiddlesticks have both still been performing extremely well. Base stats of Hecarim, so the base AD is going down, the base health is going down, so it means he's going to clear through jungle a little bit slower. And again, the same with the first ability, the base damage is going down. So again, less damage on his first ability, and his recast as well, the recast that you're able to do within 8 seconds, the empowered damage is also going down. So this is if you don't recast, I'm pretty sure, within the 8 seconds. Oh no, sorry, this is the empowered. Sorry, I'm trying to think of the other one where you can recast your first ability to deal damage earlier, but you never really want to do that. This is the other one, which is basically if you recast your first ability within 8 seconds of using the ability before, then you get empowered damage. That empowered damage has gone from 135 to 125. And then the third ability, the duration has been lowered. This is going to nerf, I think, Hecarim's jungle clear by quite a bit. Again, this is nerfing Hecarim's jungle clear. This is nerfing Hecarim's jungle clear, and the same with this as well. So there's quite a lot to nerf the jungle clear of Hecarim early game, so he probably won't be as fast as what he was before. The damage is going to be a little bit lowered. I don't think the damage is going to mean too much. But yeah, I still think Hecarim will be in a pretty decent spot. I think the champion itself is just super tanky and still does a lot of damage in the late stages of the game. Jinx, I think with the buffs that happened to Bloodthirster and with how strong champions like Lulu and Jumi and just Enchanter supports in general, Jinx has been performing pretty well. And you can see here that we're going to be getting some changes to Jinx. So to get excited, the bonus movement speed you get has gone from 150 down to 140, and the bonus attack speed has gone from 15 down to 12%. The switcheroo, so the first ability, the bonus attack speed of the minigun at maximum stacks. So you're actually getting a little bit of an increase in the early game at level 1, but then you're getting a little bit less attack speed in the later stages of the game. But to be honest, in the late game, you don't really use Pow Pow too much. Most of the time you actually do use fish bones, which to be fair is only getting a 3% damage nerf, so I don't think this is going to mean too much. I think the big thing is just the movement speed and also the bonus attack speed going down when you do get excited and when you do get the kill, which is normally the most important thing for Jinx. You know, with Jinx, you want to try and get one kill. Once you get that one kill, then the extra movement speed and attack speed that you get normally carries the fight for you. I don't think this change really does too much for Jinx. I think that Jinx will still be in a really, really good spot. Saying that, one of her, greatest companions, I guess you can say, down the dual lane, Lulu, is getting a nerf. Her base armor is going down from 40 down to 34. So it means that you can punish Lulu a little bit more now during the laning phase, even though she can still sit back and she can still play really, really safe with her shielding. That shielding is also getting nerfed, especially in the early stage. You can see here 15 less base shielding in the early game, 10 less base shielding at level 2. Obviously, this is most of the time going to be Lulu's first ability to max, but it means that during the laning phase, you might have more opportunities to maybe walk forward and try and deal a little bit of damage to Lulu if she does step out of place. Trinity Force got nerfed like a few times in the most recent patches. I have no idea why, because Divine Sunder is just by far a superior item at the moment to Trinity Force on most bruisers. So I'm not surprised now that Trinity Force is finally getting buffed. 200 less gold is quite a lot. And also the attack damage going up by 5. I think this is really nice for Trinity Force. Again, Divine Sunder was just way too powerful and just being overrun in a way with Trinity Force just not performing too well at all. So Trinity Force buff's quite nice, 200 less gold and also 5 extra AD is quite nice. Crystalline Reflector, this item is just terrible, to be honest with you. I mean, especially with the item not giving magic penetration before, it felt really bad for AP mages to not take magic pen items now, because there's no more void staff, so you need to actually take magic pen in pretty much every single build, and every single item that you build needs to have some sort of magic pen in there, otherwise you're doing no damage. So some nice changes, I guess, maximum health going up, and now the item does have plus 7% magic pen, so it can be an alternative option for some AP carries, and the physical block damage has gone up as well from 8 to 15 now to 8 to 25. So if you're an AP mage and if you're playing against some AD champions, maybe Crystalline Reflector can be an option now, whereas before it wasn't an option at all. Even if you're against like a full AD comp, you'd never go for this item because you lose so much damage by not having percent magic pen, but now it does, so now it might be okay. Immortal Shield Bow getting some buffs. Obviously, as I mentioned, I think Bloodthirster is by far the best AD item right now. in the game and the best starting item in the game. Shield bow pretty much never gets used on any champion anymore. So not surprised that Mortal Shield Bow is getting buffed. It's getting buffed with the base shield value. So the base shield value is going up from 200 up to 300. It's not as big as what it was before, like pre-nerf. I think pre-nerf it was, if I remember, it was like 350 or 400 if I'm not mistaken. But still, the base shield going up is quite nice. And also when the lifeline is triggered, the physical vamp is going up from 5% up to 8%. So again, not going up to pre-nerf level, where, like I said, I'm pretty sure the base shield value was 350 and the physical vamp when lifeline was triggered was about 10 or 12%. It's not going up that high, but it's still, you know, being at a buff, I still think it's going to be okay. Do I think it's going to be enough to overshadow, you know, to overrun Bloodthirster and be better than Bloodthirster? Probably not. I still think Bloodthirster is probably going to be better, but it you know, this can be a good alternative item now. If you want to build a crit item later on, that maybe you need that little bit of protection. I think would be quite nice. Random Omen, again, another item that just isn't good at all. Since this item got changed into this determination stacks rubbish, like, this item has been awful. Like, again, if you're against champions that are dealing a lot of crit damage, even if you built this item, you felt like you were weaker because the item just isn't that great at all. So cost value getting lowered, armor getting increased, and this determination thing is getting buffed. But honestly, like, they just need to change this passive again. When the passive before was like reduce crit damage and everything, we didn't have this determination rubbish. It was great. It was, well, it wasn't great, but it was okay in situations that is supposed to be good in, you know, against a lot of crit champions. Now it just doesn't get played at all, and the item just is not good at all. I don't like it. Kempunk Chainsword, obviously a bit of a unique item, is getting a bit of a buff. I do still think the item is really, really good, especially with how cheap it is. I think it's even stronger now with how cheap it is. Plus 5 AD, plus 50%, sorry, plus 50 health and plus 5 ability haste. Again, this item is very, very cheap and is very good against a lot of healing champions. I think this is going to be a must buy on most bruisers, to be fair, in the Baron lane. Rononomicon getting a little bit of a price increase, but is getting maximum health, so some nice stuff there. Bloodthirster is getting a really, really nice change. It's getting nerfed, but it's kind of getting buffed at the same time as well. The big thing with Bloodthirster before is that it didn't receive the build path update. So before it was Vampire Acceptor plus Cloak of Agility, and you had to kind of wait for a lot of gold. Now they're adding an extra longsword to the build path, which means that you're going to get that little bit of extra damage now, and you can build that extra tier 3 item if you don't have enough money to build Bloodthirster. Before, it took a long time to actually go from the 2 tier 2 items into Bloodthirster, but now the extra longsword is going to be in the build path. It's a lot more smoother and it's going to be a lot better. But they are reducing the attack damage and also reducing the attack speed gained when you're above 50% health. So a little bit of a nerf here to Bloodthirster. Again, the item is very, very strong. I still think the item is going to be incredibly strong even after these nerfs, especially with the build path update as well. I really, really like this this build path update for Bloodthirster. It's definitely going to be still my go-to build and my go-to item on most AD carries. Rune changes. Kraken Slayer. Oh boy, Kraken Slayer is getting an insane buff this patch. I mean, the early game damage is not that much. Like an extra 2 true damage is not that much. But this bonus AD scaling also going up as well. So it's like instead of 30% of your bonus attack damage, it's now 40%. And also late game, you're getting an extra 11 true damage. Champions like Lucian and Ezreal with this rune update is going to be pretty crazy. You know, with Ezreal, we already have the early game changes to both the base damage, the first ability damage, and also the attack speed. Plus, with Kraken Slayer on top of that as well, I think Ezreal is going to be pretty insane. Also Lucian as well, which Lucian has not really found his footing. I think he's a little bit difficult to play right now. But with this buff, we'll definitely have to give him a try and see what he's like. But yeah, pretty nice changes to Kraken Slayer. I really, really like this. Ice Dragon Soul, I mean, I don't really know how well the Soul Dragons are doing in general. Apparently Ice Dragon Soul is the weakest of them all, which I'm quite surprised. I thought one like Mountain would be weaker, but they're increasing the damage received when, you know, during the mark, and also they're increasing the slow percentage. Then we have some skins. We've got Blood and Moon Severe. We got the Glorious Olaf, which is coming out 1st of December, which means that the end of season is soon again. Wait, the end of season is soon already? This is the next... Glorious skin. What is this from? Oh, is this from Legend? I'm not really too sure what this is from. Releasing 1st of December. Does that mean that season 12 is coming out soon? I have no idea. I got some catching up to do. I'm still in like Diamond because I haven't played for like so long. I think I have like 50 games played this season. I barely played this season. But yeah, Ashen Knight Pantheon, Blood Moon Tredemir, Blood Moon Severe is also a really, really nice skin. But yeah, that is everything. As I said, a lot of changes considering this is just a B patch in a way, but some really nice changes that I'm going to have to give a try. Again, I'll probably do like a shorter stream tomorrow and try out some of these changes because I'm kind of taking this week a little bit easy on myself because my voice is going a little bit because my throat has been a bit sore and I've been ill and obviously catching up on sleep and everything like that. But hopefully you can all tune into my stream tomorrow. I'll probably stream you know, a little bit later on during the day. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this patch rundown. I wanted to get this patch rundown out there anyway because I know you all like to know my opinions about the patch and what I think is going to happen in terms of the meta. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. Stay safe and I'll see you in the next wider video. Peace.